In this video I will show you how to undress your Ducati Monster 696, 796 or 1100. First off, if you have a 796 or 1100, check that the swing arm cover cap is present. It often falls and I recommend using super glue when reinstalling it. If you ride without one, dirt will eventually find its way to the rear wheel bearings. Remove the seat and check that the latch mechanism is perfectly aligned with the seat pin lock. It is often misadjusted after installing a tail tidy. The seat should lock in easily with a loud click. Next, proceed to remove the fairing bolts. Use a 3mm Allen key to undo the 13 bolts. I prefer using a ball end because the bolts are very soft and do not require much torque. Having a magnetic tray prevents from dropping the bolts inadvertently. Check that these plastic washers are present. They protect the fairings when tightening the bolts. Once all the fairing bolts are removed, zip them into a small plastic bag to avoid loosening them. To remove the fairings, gently lift the ignition cover. Then slide down the side panels. Lift the panels and store them in a safe area. They are scratched easily and are expensive to replace. Check that the metal spacers are present on the top tank panel. They tend to fall off easily, so use super glue to keep them on. Next, siphon the tank. You can alternatively ride until you the reserve. An empty tank is always easier to remove than a full one. Disconnect the vent hoses. I recommend greasing the nipples. The rubber dries up with age and will crack if you pull too hard. Detach the fuel lines and undo the bolt using an 8mm spanner. Remove the bolt attaching the tank to the subframe using a 5mm Allen key. Release the small tool bag, detach the DDA port and undo the two bolts using a 3mm Allen key. The white connector is attached to an aftermarket exhaust valve eliminator. On the Monster 1100 Evo model, you will have to disconnect the traction control module. You can now remove the under seat tray. Before proceeding to removing the tank, place a chair beside the bike and clothes to protect the subframe where the tank will rest. Now simply pull the tank out and twist it sideways to rest on the chair and subframe. It will be more difficult on bikes equipped with ABS module, but still doable. This is all you need to do if you only intend to replace the battery, swap ECU or re-oil the air filter. However, removing the tank is necessary for checking the valve clearance and replacing the fuel filter. We will detail these procedures in future videos. To remove the tank from the bike, one electrical cable and two fuel lines need to be detached. Remove the fuel pump cover with a 8mm socket. The fuel pump sits very close to the rear exhaust manifold and requires a heat protection cover. If the foil patch has fallen or is badly damaged, contact your dealer for a replacement. Pay attention to the fuel line's stream flow. One is in and the other is out. The out has a white tag. The fuel lines uses a connector type known as quick disconnect. Simply press on both sides of the connector and pull. Be prepared to catch the fuel that will pour out the lines. Apply rubber grease on the O-rings to prevent damaging them when refitting the lines. A damaged O-rings will cause a fuel leak falling directly onto the rear exhaust manifold. And this is it. You have successfully removed the tank from your Ducati Monster.